Have you ever gotten worn out of trying to control things that you couldn't? Forces us into stressful situations all the time, where we get caught up in other people's opinions, which can lead to both high hopes and sadness. When things don't go as planned, we feel useless and make ourselves invisible, stress and getting stuck in a never-ending loop of overthinking. But is there a way to get peace of mind again and let go of all these thoughts? Stoic philosophy, which is very old and full of deep knowledge, gives us a clearer path that involves not only learning to not care, but also learning to let go gently. Stoicism doesn't teach us to let go of things we can't change or accept them as they are, not interested in or cold to life, but rather helps us see things with. The 7 rules help us keep our hearts strong and our thoughts open. Over time, you'll learn how to live freely and unchained. These rules will help you stay away from things that aren't yours to control. Learn how to maintain self-control in any situation and embrace the present moment. Let's go on this spiritual journey together, where you'll learn from your mistakes and grow. Find peace in your heart and learn how to master the art of letting go. Challenging and full of freedom, take charge of what's. Have you ever felt exhausted from trying to manage everything in your life? Just to find that so much is out of your reach, your hopes, your opinions, and the stresses and strains of life often put us in a state of stress and worry. Stoicism is a way of life that penetrates our hearts and constantly prompts us to reflect. It has been around for a very long time and doesn't teach us how to avoid the world, but to live in it with more peace and comfort. The first principle in Stoicism teaches us that true freedom comes from being able to control what's inside us. When things in life go awry, our only recourse is that we are truly in charge of our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, and what counts is how you respond to it." This simple but deep statement starts a new view of the world. To be at peace, we don't have to control everything, but we do have to control how we respond to it. We've all experienced moments when everything seemed beyond our reach. We can't fix a bad relationship, an unfulfilling job, or just a hurtful situation. Say that we worry too much about what other people think or do at those times. We often forget that the only thing we can change is ourselves. Ask yourself, what can I change? Can I simply choose how to respond to other people's actions? This is the lesson of Stoicism, which asserts that inner peace originates not from controlling the external world, but from Jesus imparting a similar lesson about taking control of our inner world. Do not worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself, and every day has enough trouble of its own. Owning this knowledge helps us remember that worrying about the future is not necessary. We should instead think about what we can do now, since there's no. We must consider what is beyond our reach. We can find peace by controlling ourselves. Take a look at elite players as an example. They can't change the weather or their opponent's play, but they can change one thing. Their thoughts and responses to outside factors determine control. There are things in everyday life that can differentiate between a winner and a loser. When things go wrong, stop and ask yourself, what can I control here? How can I act to keep my mind and heart calm? Marcus Aurelius, one of the best Stoics, they wrote that you control your thoughts, not the outside world. Do this, and you'll find power. These words aren't just philosophy, it's a way to live a strong, free life in a world full of them. Things happen that we can't change or stop, but we have the power. The key to getting through it is to take charge of our ideas, actions, and feelings. We cannot control everything without losing our inner peace. When we learn to let go, it becomes a rule, a way of life, and a way of seeing the world. When we let go of what's out of our control and work on keeping ourselves in check, we find This is the freedom that cannot be taken away by outside forces. The mind is liberated from unnecessary problems and the stresses that life can impose. Number 2. Take a moment to enjoy the present. Have you ever paused in the middle of a task? Consider your daily existence and ask yourself, am I truly living in this moment? This straightforward question holds a deep truth about how we spend most of our lives. Pursuing far-off goals that give people hope for a better future, or letting our guilt and anger over the past consume us while we. Absorbing in these thoughts causes the present moment, the most valuable thing in life, to slip away. Silently, they disappear. Akin to sand grains descending to the bottom of an hourglass, Stoic thought has repeatedly taught us that this type of Stoicism will never return. Is more than just a bunch of dry ideas, it's a way of life that helps us see the Marcus Aurelius told the philosopher Emperor Tai that the present moment is very important. We should not act like we were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you as long as you live and as long as you have power. These words are not a scary threat. They are a strong call to live. Enjoy every moment to the fullest because right now is all we have. If we understand the value of the present, why do we waste it so often? We're still filled with guilt about things that went wrong in the past. We make decisions that jeopardize our chances or worry about future events. May not even happen, and by focusing on that, we miss the most important thing. People today should think about how Jesus faced death without being afraid or hating it. He took everything in with kindness and peace of mind. Jesus knew that every moment of life is valuable and every now is a chance to love. Let go of your fears and live your life to the fullest. He didn't teach us to be afraid of the future. Believe that God has a plan for us and enjoy the time we have now. There are distractions all over the world, like phones buzzing all the time. Emails, social media, and work all take our minds off of the moment, dulling there is a real link between us and the world around us, no matter where we are. With our families, but our minds are on things we need to do or plans we want to make for. Not only will this isolate us from our friends and family tomorrow, but it will also, the only thing that truly matters is to miss the pleasure of the present. Take control and visualize yourself strolling through a forest as a cool breeze caresses you. If you're not fully present, you can feel the warm sunlight streaming through your hair. Consider the issues you may overlook in the future. There are times like these when you can enjoy the beauty of nature and the peace it brings. They are fleeting yet crucial, and they form the foundation of genuine spirituality. Peace. Life is short and valuable right now, in this very moment. Enjoy the present moment, just as the Stoics and Jesus did. We are taught because we can only find real spiritual freedom in the present, real happiness in life. Next, let's talk about secret number 3. But first, would you tell me about a time when you felt like life was a river? Everything is constantly changing and we can't cling to the past. No matter how big or small, change is a part of life. They often come at us unexpectedly, sometimes bringing joy, but also causing pain and loss. We are afraid of change because it means leaving our comfort zones and facing the unknown, but have you ever thought that maybe life is in that change? Opening new doors allows us to grow and become more. Aurelius in Meditations, stronger number 3, accept change. Help us not only accept everything that happens, but also find a way to love it. Every change presents us with an opportunity to improve, but why does change occur frequently? People are naturally accustomed to feeling safe, which is why we worry and fear. Stability when things change, like when you lose your job or change jobs. Problems that make us feel helpless and lost. But in these times, we have nothing left to cling to. Stoicism teaches us that change presents an opportunity to improve and achieve our goals. Limits. Think about a time when you lost your job or had to deal with a big problem in the beginning. Is that fear is unavoidable, but if you dig deeper, you'll find that every change brings new chances. Maybe losing your job helps. The Stoics say that life gives you the chance to find your true interest or learn new skills. Teaches us to deal with problems not by fighting them, but by accepting them and using change to get better. A great example of how to accept shifts is Michelle Obama, wrote about her time as the First Lady of the United States in her book, Journey. Before she became First Lady, Michelle Obama was a skilled lawyer with her own job. She worked hard to build during her time at Harvard and Princeton, but her life changed. When Barack Obama, her husband, decided to run for president as a lawyer and teacher, Michelle had to make a lot of changes when she became the First Lady. Lady not only had to quit her job, but also get used to having a public part that came with a lot of demands and pressure. But instead of fighting back or, though upset, Michelle accepted this change gracefully and confidently. Changed the job of the First Lady into a way to bring about good change. In particular, when it comes to health, education, and women's rights. Her battle against obesity and her passion for teaching became iconic. Michelle Obama once said, "I have had a lasting positive effect." Success isn't about completing tasks, it's about handling challenges and adapting to them. She accepted change, and her story shows that it's not just about getting through tough times, and also about finding meaning and a chance in new. Even when circumstances force us to step outside of our comfort zone, they can bring us life in all its forms. Changes are inevitable, and when we learn to embrace this, just know that you've changed states, not lost anything. To put it another way, accepting change is not only a way to calm down, we would love to find peace within ourselves in a world full of chaos. When things change in your life, let me know what you think and feel about these Stoic ideals. Do you choose to resist unchangeable things or to embrace them and adapt to them? Enough faith to guess the answer? Leave a comment below and join the conversation. Accept that life is a natural process. Don't expect that things happen the way you want them to. Instead, wish that they would. Things will happen as they should, and you'll do well to remember this general rule. It teaches us that everything in the world adheres to unchangeable rules. Rules about everything from the 4 seasons and the cycle of day and night to the good and bad times in everyone's life are clear signs of the things that happen in nature that we have to accept and work with are not only everywhere, but also in our own lives. We are born, we grow up, enjoy both happiness and sadness, grow old, and eventually die at every stage of life. Is an important part of this circle, but many of us forget this. We want to hold on to their youth, to remember happy times without accepting change, but it's exactly this. We suffer and get worn out when we fight against the normal flow. Professional players are a great example of this in real life. They reach a peak, but they can't keep up that peak performance forever. For example, think of football. Stars like Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo have both had outstanding times at different points in their lives, but age and physical limits force them to admit that their prime will not last forever. What counts is how they deal with this truth, not whether they ignore it or get angry about it, but by learning to deal with it and enjoy every stage of life. By letting go of the natural rhythms of life, they have found peace and greater meaning. Jesus also imparted knowledge about the natural world through his professions and personal experiences. In the circle of life, when he told his followers that he was going to die soon, he didn't show fear or pushback. Instead, he knew that his death was part of a bigger plan. It was the way to heaven. He accepted rebirth as an important part of life's circle, which deep importance to the lives of his followers unless a single grain of wheat falls. If it falls to the ground and dies, it only leaves one seed behind. If it dies, it makes more seeds. Jesus once said, "Many seeds," which means that every end is also a beginning of a new circle. So the question is whether we can accept that life is a loop of there are natural processes where happiness and sadness are linked, where success and accepting and understanding failure is a necessary part of the journey. With these cycles, we can get rid of stress that isn't necessary and live a fuller life. Life is constantly changing, and all we can do is accept it and learn to adapt. We can find peace of mind if we can adapt to these cycles. As both Stoicism and Jesus taught, we should live in unity with nature. We have reached the middle of today's lesson, and your presence is a great help. We need your help to keep going on this path of teaching more people the true values of Stoicism, so please like and share. Please share this video with your family and friends. Write "I love my life" in the comments if you're ready for the next 5 lessons on this trip. Number 5. Look for growth in life isn't always easy, and we'll all have to deal with problems, difficulties, tests, and even mistakes. But it's often in the darkness gives us the chance to grow and improve. Seneca, a scholar, once said that fire tests gold and hardship tests the Stoicism's main idea is that hardship is not something to be afraid of, it's not something to avoid, but rather an opportunity to improve, develop. Consider the life of Jesus Christ. He had to deal with a lot of problems. He endured pain on his journey, was ignored, betrayed, and ultimately Christ died on the cross. But he didn't blame others or try to get away from trouble. Jesus accepted it and dealt with it with complete kindness and calm, showed inner strength and taught us something important. When things go wrong, we must test our faith, love, and kindness. In the Bible, Jesus stated that anyone who does not take up their cross, follow me, but don't become my follower. This is more than just a call to give up something. If we are willing to look for them, hard times make us stronger and help us grow. Are we prepared to confront it and overcome it? The question is, how can we adapt? The story of Bethany is a clear example of how to turn hardship into growth in modern life. In 2003, Hamilton, an American pro surfer, was just 13 years old. A shark attacked Bethany while she was surfing off the coast of Hawaii. The attack caused her to lose. Losing her left arm was a terrible thing for her, both physically and mentally. Someone who is really into a sport that needs skill and balance, like surfing, Bethany persevered when others would have quit their jobs and dreams. She didn't give up in the face of trouble. Instead, she learned to deal with it. Just a few months after the accident, she returned to her beloved sport of surfing with a new body. Not only did she return, she excelled at it. He has also won numerous titles as one of the best professional surfers in the world. Awards and praise. Bethany once said, "Losing my arm never stopped me from doing what I love. In fact, it made me stronger." Her story demonstrates how to transform hardship into strength. She turned her pain and loss into strength, not just in her sports skills, but also in her spirit, and her story has given millions of people around the world hope and drive, to remind us that problems and losses are not the end, but can be the building blocks for growth and rebirth, but not everyone can easily. When we don't see problems as chances to grow, we often give up in fear, anger, or when things become difficult. But ask yourself, can we change the problems themselves, or is it the way we think about and deal with them? It's hardship that really matters. Epictetus was one of the most famous Stoic thinkers. Reminded us that we can't change the things that happen around us, but control how we respond to them. This means that when things go wrong, the most important thing is to learn how to accept pain as a part of life. The journey of growth can help us train our thoughts and souls through challenging times. There are people who are stronger, more patient, and more caring. In the end, Trouble isn't just something to overcome, it's also a lesson. Bad things happen in our lives so we can learn and grow. If we look for growth in them, we won't fail. You not only build a strong spirit, but also find out what life number 6 is. Know and accept your faith. Epictetus once said, "Do not try to make things happen the way you want them to. Instead, hope that if things go the way they should, you'll be happy." This tells us fighting against fate will always lead to pain and disappointment. Hard things happen in life, and accepting them is the way to inner peace. Consider the life of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. In a South African jail, Mandela didn't curse his fate or feel defeated by injustice. Instead, he accepted what was happening to him. He knew that even though he couldn't change the painful truth, he could deal with it. He could choose how to deal with it. Accepting fate doesn't mean giving up hope. Finding peace in trouble and using it to get better afterwards required some work. After he was freed, Mandela became president of South Africa and led the country out of race division and into a global sign of strength. Stoic thought does not teach people to passively accept what happens. However, it's evident that a profound comprehension of life's challenges leads to acceptance of natural rules. The life of Jesus Christ is also a strong example of how to accept what will happen. Jesus did not fight back when betrayed and on the verge of death on the cross. Instead of accepting his death with fear, Jesus did so with love. He asked his Father to forgive them for their ignorance, a deep acceptance of his fate, and complete faith in God, which showed spirit of peace in the midst of pain by accepting and knowing fate. We not only find peace in difficulties, but we also turn them into an opportunity. Accepting fate is not a chance to grow and become more mature. Surrender, but the soul's freedom from pointless fears, which lets us, when things go wrong, do you choose to live with freedom and tranquility amidst life's constant changes? Accept it as part of life, or fight fate and let fear take over? Feel free to leave your ideas in the section below, and let's share our own stories of how we overcame problems. Remember, in every trial there is always a chance for those who are willing. The 7th step is to reflect on a basic concept: thoughts. Stoic thought is more than just taking a moment to think about life. This is a chance to really look at our acts and learn more about who we are. Stoicism stresses that we should learn from our mistakes. Self-awareness, and this shows up in the daily practice of thought that we use. What has transpired has taught us valuable lessons that have aided in our personal growth and improvement. Have you ever given your spiritual life any thought? How often do you rush through problems and win without stopping to ask, what have I learned from this? If we don't reflect on it, we run the risk of disappearing. Like a ship without a rudder, we navigate life without realizing what we are going through. We might make progress, but we won't know where we're going. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most important Stoic thinkers, left us very useful things: his thoughts and reflections. In this book, Marcus discusses more than just deep ideas about how to write about his life, but also highlighted moments when he paused to reflect on it. Rather than showcasing his intelligence, these texts serve as a self-evaluation. Marcus shows us how to get better in a world full of chaos and doubt. Being aware of your life and meeting it with kindness and understanding are the only ways to find real peace for Marcus. Thought wasn't just. He never stops thinking about what's going on in the world, but he is always self-examining. I inquired about his actions, thoughts, and reactions to life's challenges. When Marcus thought about these times, he always came back to the Stoic philosophy, which says that you should only control what you can. Stay strong and don't worry about things you can't change. Problems. Marcus's responses to big problems. As the ruler of the Roman Empire, he had to deal with wars, plagues, and many other threats. Marcus never became cocky, even though he was in charge of the whole country. He often took time to think about what he had to do, and leadership daily reflection helped him understand that everything in life, from joy to pain, is only brief. What counts most is how we deal with it, observe and react to the events that occur. From this, we can learn that not only can you think about the past, you can also plan ahead. Marcus found peace in the middle of the storms by looking at himself and thinking about it every day. Even though life is challenging these days, we can still use this technique. Let's stop and think about how we're living and what we're going through. Like Marcus Aurelius, you need to get rid of everything and then find the way to real peace. Life is a journey filled with problems, deaths, and changes, but Marcus Aurelius's Stoic theory teaches us how to find peace in the midst. By focusing on each of the Stoic principles, you can live a calmer life in the present and be open to change, to only thinking about oneself and life. When we learn the art of letting go, we can walk with less weight on our shoulders. Don't waste time or money on things that aren't important. Let these 7 rules help you to live with a peaceful heart and not worry about things you can't change. This is the way to true happiness. If this video helped you, please don't share it with anyone else. Remember to click like to support the station and share your thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to leave comments and share the video with your family and friends to help spread the wonderful ideas of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe to the station so you don't miss any videos about living a Stoic life and inner peace. To receive notifications when we release new growth, please click the bell. We always have useful and interesting information ready for you. Cheers, and see you in the next video.